Hey guys, we're back with another book review. Today we are talking about Love and Respect by Dr. Emerson Eggerichs. Let's jump in. Now, I've read this book while doing premarital counseling and preparation for a marriage with my now wife. And it was an awesome book. Not gonna lie, it looked kind of meaty, and I had a lot going on finishing up school. But it was truly a joy to read and gave me a lot of practical tools. So I'm excited to share it with you guys today. I hope that it helps you where you're at, whether you're dating, engaged, or even you've been married for a while. It'll be a big help. In this book, Dr. Emerson Eggerichs is going to be drawing from a passage in Ephesians as he goes through the content of this book. Ephesians 5:33 says, "However, let each one of you love his wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband." Using biblical truth as well as statistical data, Dr. Eggerichs points out that husbands and women are created differently. That a woman to have safety and security in marriage needs to experience love, and that a husband to feel that same safety and security in marriage needs to experience respect. That's loving actions that really fill the cup of a wife, and it's respectful actions that fill the cup of a husband. That he contrasts this by saying, if you're to tell your wife that I don't love you, but I respect you, that would hurt her because she needs love. But in exactly the same way, if a wife told her husband, I don't respect you, but I love you, that would hurt him in the same way. Men are made to show and to desire respect, and women are made to show and desire loving affection. And it's for this reason, then, this verse, men are commanded to do what doesn't come naturally, show love to your wife. And women are commanded to do what doesn't come naturally, to show respect to their husbands. So that's why Paul makes this an expectation. He wants men to love their wives unconditionally, and he wants wives to respect their husbands unconditionally, even if the wife or the husband aren't living faithfully, or even if they're not Christians. Paul says, be good towards them, that your life might be a light and you might save them. You might show them the light of the gospel. So that's what he's going to talk about. He's going to use statistics to show that it actually works. When you start showing love to your wife, even if you have a messed up relationship, things start to change. And then she's actually prompted to want to show you respect. Similarly, if you're a wife and you show respect to your husband, even if he doesn't deserve it, things are going to change. He's going to start wanting to show you love. That's just how the relationship works. So they talk about how to get off the crazy cycle, how to, things just can go downhill. If I don't show love to my wife, maybe she's not going to want to show respect to me, and it's just a downward spiral. They say how to get onto the energizing cycle, where we're both fulfilling each other and we're going up and up and trying to stay off that crazy cycle, trying to avoid those triggers, instead of trying to fill each other. And then ultimately how to get onto the rewarding cycle. That they argue that even though it works and you should do it in your marriage, they're saying, but ultimately you should do it out of faithfulness to Christ. Marriage is temporary. We're not going to be married in heaven, but God calls us to do this to reflect his love and to engage in the relationship the way it was supposed to be. And there are eternal rewards for doing that faithfully. So we should try to get on what they call the rewarding cycle. And it's also just very practical. They give acronyms to remember all this. So, enough said. It's a great book. I could talk about it more, but I'm going to judge it on two principles: the readability and the usability. As far as the readability goes, this book has 24 chapters and 5 appendices. Each are about an average of 14 or 15 pages. There's some that are a bit shorter, some that are a little bit longer. But on average, that's what the breakdown is like. It reaches about 300 pages. And again, that's with appendices included. And that's going to be more of some bullet points and takeaways that you can read afterwards, which I highly recommend. So as far as readability goes, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. You know me, I like shorter chapters. I like anything between 8 and 10, maybe 12 pages. So it's a little bit longer than what I like, because I like to be able to sit down and read several chapters in a go rather than to feel drudgingly working through one long chapter, maybe have to pause in the middle. I just don't like that. The nice thing about this book, though, even though they are longer chapters, is that you don't have to sit down and read them slowly. It's not as though they're dense. You can kind of figure out the main point they're making each chapter, and include lots of just interviews and emails they've had and conversations and stories to make that main point. It's not that it's belabored, but that it's straightforward, and the entire chapter is going to be focused on that same main point. So 4 out of 5 on readability. As far as usability goes, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. It's incredibly usable. I thought it was just going to be another one of those relationship books that, gives you nuggets of wisdom, but ultimately it's more philosophical and trying to change your mindset and your approach. But it also just gives you really practical advice. At the end of each portion, it does give you some takeaways. And in fact, there's the beginning section, which is to both husbands and wives. But then the following two sections, the first one is devoted directly to husbands, and the second one is devoted directly to wives. And that's going to be telling you what to do, how to do it. For example, the section devoted to husbands, they give you an acronym, and they give you a couple things that you need to know about to show to your wife so that she will feel loved. With the acronym couple, they say closeness, openness, understanding, peacemaking, loyalty, and esteem. And that's how you can show and spell love to your wife. And at the end of each chapter, they give you bullet points on some specific ways you can try and experiment and do that to your wife. Similarly, in the section devoted to wives, they give the acronym of CHAIRS, and that stands for conquest, hierarchy, authority, insight, relationship, and sexuality. And at the end of each of those, so I've been told by my wife, there's a list of bullet points of how to do that and show that and spell that out to your husband. And then the appendices also give you a couple bullet points on some things to know and some things to try and put into practice. So overall, it's just a very practical book on how to avoid things that are going to down spiral your marriage, your relationship, and some specific things you can put into practice on how to up spiral your relationship and really devote it to the Lord and try to be faithful and honor Him and love your spouse well. I want to highly recommend this book. That's a 9 out of 10 rating. It's definitely helped me a lot in my relationship with my wife, and just trying to understand her, knowing that guys and girls work differently. We receive and show affection differently. But that means that we also need to try and change and meet the other where they're at, and show them the love Christ has showed us. So I hope that you go and pick it up. I'll leave a link in the description below so that you can do that. If you want to see more book reviews on some books that I've read and want to encourage, then definitely check out my playlist on that. Like the video, subscribe. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.